pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have a moment of silent prayer? Amen.
Amen.
Okay. It is Tuesday, August 8th, 5:30 in the evening. We're in the Municipal Center. Can I have a roll call, please?
Scott Murphy,
Here.
Susan Webster's here, Beth Skinner is absent, Mary Lynn Hickey. Here. Rebecca McLeod. Here. Greg Sheen.
Here.
And Tom Hall.
All right, let's review the minutes of the council meeting from July 25th. I looked at everything, but I didn't see anything. We'll take a common consent and for any additions or corrections that need to be made. Everybody good?
I would assume that they got shot.
Got quiet all of a
They
sudden.
got quiet, so. I'm assuming common consent. I sent them out about 10 days ago.
Everybody good?
Yes.
Everybody good? Okay, common consent. All right, moving on. Persons before council. Jeff Duvall.
Yeah, it's gonna work. They didn't get back from North Carolina.
Okay,
So we're gonna start with the streetscape meeting in the week, next week.
okay.
We develop the official.
Good deal, good deal.
We need them.
All right. Don't know how to pronounce the last name.
Vacation.
Leslie's, okay,
Father Mikey,
okay,
He is absent, he's sick,
okay,
but we're here.
okay. All right, well, I know that guy in the middle, he's a troublemaker. So. All right, you guys have the floor.
Do we come up there?
Now you can stand up there or just sit there or whatever.
We're here about the abandonment of Liberty Street, okay? And the bank wants access, ingress and egress, so they didn't go along with abandoning it. So that's where we stand there. Now, our thought is since the cut up to Mercer has nothing to do with the bank, if that could be abandoned.
They're still the adjoining property owners, so they would still have to.
All right, then my next thing is why doesn't council mow the grass and snow plow in the wintertime? The church has been doing it for years.
Well, I do know we still plow there because I've done it.
No, I pay the bill.
I've done it before when I'm running snowplow.
Well,
So
I've not seen the
anyway,
town there.
I understand your plight, but we also have just given the Boy Scouts the go ahead to use Liberty Street this for the Apple Butter Festival.
Well, you got no problem with that. You've done that for years.
Yeah, so
It is used by the public.
I don't see much of a public street right now.
Right.
just east of the egress, why is that a public street?
There's parking there. A lot
Well,
of people park.
The reason we seek abandonment is because we've had graffiti on our property.
We've had demonstrations there too, and being a public place, we can't stop it.
You know, we just need a buffer so that if someone puts like a bus with Sons of Satan in front of our church, we can have them trespassed and removed. We're not saying we're gonna lock it off or fence it off. It's just, we just need to have some recourse in case someone does something like that. And this is nothing, it's just like the 7-Eleven and the bank parking lot. If someone does something that the bank does not approve of or whatever, they can have them trespassed. And I think we should be afforded that accommodation too.
well, even if we abandon the part of the street that you're talking about, we still got parking spaces on the upper side that they can actually sit a bus like you're talking
Yeah,
about.
from the egress to South Washington Street, like, that's no problem. And like I said, we're only just asking that part from the egress east to Mercer Street.
When you went to
You're talking
C and B,
Yeah.
did you request the entirety of Liberty Street?
Yes,
And they said no.
no,
Right.
with, but the stipulation was the egress.
So the,
They still wanted the right to have the, from their property come to Liberty Street.
Yeah.
They wanted that right of ingress and
Right.
egress.
That's what I was worried about, because then they would only have one way out, and that's on to, right directly onto Washington Street instead of coming out and being able to,
Right.
that's the
With all
one.
due respect, most of the churches in town are on public streets. And hypotheticals about somebody parking or demonstrating in front of a church is not a reason for abandonment. That's a publicly used street. For keeping it as public.
Yeah, Pat.
Could I request if it's a publicly used street that Liberty Street be accessed by traffic from South Washington to Mercer?
it doesn't have to be public property, Pat, it can be, sidewalks, it doesn't have to be a through street. We have alleys, all through town that aren't used like that. This is what I think they're not understanding.
See, the thing that gets me is the fact that there's been other people that come for abandonment of streets, and it goes through town with not a question.
Those are typically alleys that are in people's backyards that people don't even know they exist.
Yeah.
There
I think
was
you can say that about Liberty.
there was an alley behind the country in between that and the state park that was abandoned years ago.
Probably 40 to 45 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it was way before I was on
Good.
council. It was when Jack Parker and all that. So we could go back that far, but it was also a paper street that was along that ridge that could not be developed as, but,
Well, what I'll do at this time, I'm gonna ask the council to make a motion, or give us a motion and everything. We'll vote on this thing, and,
Can I ask one more question
Yeah.
before you do that? Can you explain to me what sorts, it'd be more specific about what kinds of activities you are hoping to mitigate if you get the street closed?
So over the last year kicked off with 3 specific individuals who would come in armed to mass, attempting to intimidate our Catholic parishioners, specifically targeting one family. But of course, the impact of that for folks that come to church, by the way, I'm head of security at church, it was significantly negative. Okay, when people come into church with guns, it scares a lot of people. We took appropriate steps to be able to mitigate that. To the point where, I would meet them in the parking lot, tell them to make sure they don't bring anything in. And the West Virginia code supports us in that, right? And
I've
then
seen the new
just,
signs on the door.
I'm sorry?
The new signs on the door.
Correct.
That were put up, like, don't bring your.
Correct. And then 2 months ago, we had the graffiti on the front porch, the anti-Catholic graffiti, supporting LGBTQ stuff.
Right.
And that. So again, hopefully everybody's keeping up with the news. Over the last, 2.5 years, been 346 attacks against Catholic churches, which doesn't include all the other churches. We understand that. And, everything from burning them all the way to the ground to
Right.
graffiti and those kind of things. So,
Right.
we have been identified among the churches as a pretty consistent target, including several in this region. We've had a church in West Virginia that burned down to the ground
Right.
a year and a half.
Right. I fully appreciate and have empathy for the unfortunate incidents that are happening on your property. I'm just not clear that abandonment is going to stop those kinds of activities, that it will stop them in their tracks because they can't come down Liberty Street, because they could just walk down and still make trouble.
Yeah, and what we're getting at is, if I'm standing at the front door of the church facing the bank,
Yeah.
okay, right now, as it currently stands, there's the sidewalk, which again is a public sidewalk because it goes to a public road.
Mhm.
The next step up is you're on the porch of the church. It doesn't take much time for somebody who wants to get into the church. You're in about 2 or 3 steps.
Right,
okay? So by building a buffer, okay, and I'm the guy who stands outside church and looks at everybody coming in to see if any potential threats are out there. The buffer allows us to engage with people further out to see if there are any threats. We have a lot, on some days we get along great with the bank. We use up half their parking lot. They use it during the week. It's a good, like it's supposed to.
right.
But that allows us to have a little bit more buffer to identify any potential threats and not let them, like Pat said, have the right to be right in front of our building. And because of the lack of space, makes it really tough for anti-vehicle barriers or anything like that. So plant.
Are you talking about the side of the church where the Mary statue is, like that right
Yes.
there?
Yeah,
towards the bank.
Yeah, okay, understood.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that you're going to stop that activity even with a buffer for a determined person. That's my concern.
I mean, pretty good security detachment.
Yeah.
So we do a pretty good job, I think.
Okay.
And again, I've dealt with bad guys a lot.
Mhm.
If they're dedicated enough and everything else, they make it tougher.
Right,
But we try to mitigate as much as possible.
understood. Thank you, Larry, appreciate that.
Excuse me, what type of protection plan or what type of security does the town offer on Sunday for those situations?
I was just gonna bring the chief.
I was gonna say, if we have our local authorities available, if there is someone and it takes a 911 call, and hopefully within a matter of minutes, we have the authorities there handling maybe an uncomfortable situation that may have to do with constitutional rights, but at the same token is a harassment. The scenario is that that's what we pay the chief to handle. That's what we have our local authorities to handle. And as much as I can emphasize with you, I will tell you very candidly, at our church, there are probably a number of concealed carry persons that are there that are local authorities just to handle certain type situations, because we are out in the county and the response time is going to be much more. But I would hope that our local office would be able to respond within a matter of minutes if there was any type of a situation.
Chief, I'm gonna bring you into this talk. Is there anything we can do to help make it more secure down there?
Well, I can tell you on Sunday mornings, I've taken that schedule, so I'm here on Sunday mornings. And with me is usually at least 2 deputy sheriffs and sometimes a state trooper. I'm here not only because of the church is concerned, but also the concerns for the farmer's market that goes on a good part of the year. So in scheduling, I wanted to make sure, especially when they started up and then taking the vandalism complaint for the church, I wanted to make sure that we had law enforcement presence in town on Sunday mornings.
Which is a block away.
Deterrence is your biggest bet. The biggest thing you can do is deter. And the buffer allows us to do that. Having somebody on the front porch does that. We can't tie the police down to sit in front of the church.
Of course you can.
Yeah, but
But
he
they
can
also
always
have a
make a
pretty
loop
rapid
around there and kind of watch. If we got him and possibly 2 deputy sheriffs and a state trooper in town, I would imagine that they would help us also just kind of keep an eye out down there. I mean, I don't think you're ever going to stop it. I mean, even if you put a buffer, I don't think you're going to stop it. I mean, unless you were to totally close that street completely down, no parking at all, and whatever. But it's up to the council what they want to do. So I will ask if somebody
Mr.
wants to.
Mayor?
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's like, we're not saying we want to close it off, but like I said, we want a little buffer zone. So if someone comes in and if they pull it into the front of the church and we can identify them as a threat, that we can stop them. You're on private property, please leave. And then in the meantime, we can call law enforcement. But we would like to have that buffer just for the fact that it's, you know, for our own well-being. And I mean, I'm sure if you go to the First Church, that if they were really honest with you, they say that they on their parking lot that they would trespass people if they caused a problem. We do not have any luxury of that. I mean, same thing at the Berkeley Baptist Church. They can, if someone's causing a problem, they can have them trespassed off the property.
Well, and we can basically do the same thing through the town. We can give them a trespassing, you know, if they're trespassing, we know who they are, you know, that's the thing, you know. Am I right on that statement?
Well, if they're causing a problem, yes.
Okay.
There's measures are taken.
So,
Usually just having their presence is enough to start anybody from doing it.
Well, it's a sad situation when parishioners
absolutely.
feel unsafe to go to their place of worship.
Yeah.
And that's the issue right now. That's the issue right now.
Believe me, I'm of course a member of this church and understand completely what the gentlemen are saying. It is very uncomfortable. I've seen it. I've felt it. It just goes through you when you see this going on in the church. And I hope that we can find some ways to work with it. But not the public street is.
Right. Okay. I will ask if somebody's so moved to make a motion on this so we can,
So moved.
okay.
What's your, what is your motion?
Oh, is there a motion yet?
No,
Oh, will someone state the motion and?
there isn't.
There was a motion.
I need somebody to make a motion.
Okay.
Motion to approve the abandonment of Liberty Street.
Do I have a second?
That's good.
Do I have a second? And I don't have a second, that motion dies.
While I've got you here, can I ask you about that gutter that outlets on the street sidewalk? There's a new gutter coming out.
I
of
don't
one of
have,
the
I don't
buildings,
have anything to do with it.
and it goes right onto the sidewalk, which is gonna cause an icing habit.
You're going to have to contact Mike Stanger. He's the chairman of the facilities committee.
Well, we'll take it back.
It should go into the garden bed. So
Okay.
you want-
Any other motions? If not, I'm gonna table this until,
We're taking-
all right, then we need to have a motion.
You
We
had
did,
a motion,
it
it died
died
for lack of
for
second.
lack of second.
Yep, it died for lack of,
So
lack
there's
of
no
second.
tabling.
Okay,
It's a
okay.
Go ahead.
We'll have him make extra patrols down there. Can you just kind of run down there on Sunday and keep an eye? Like I said, it is very ridiculous that we have to go to these constraints to keep people protected when they're going to the place of worship. You know, never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. Never.
Mr. Mayor, if I can make a comment on that, we do get heads ups and hazards from the diocese whenever there's a regional targeting of Catholic churches. And I just gotta say, we first call us to the chief and then we get the sheriff brought in.
Yep.
So we've done, 24-hour security at the church. We have vandalism is the threat and breaking statues and all that. And we've got nothing but great support from the state, the county, and the sheriff. So I just want to make sure that part is on the record, that every time we can identify a specific threat stream, that, we are not keeping it ourselves. We immediately notify the local law enforcement. They
Like I
support
said,
us very well.
We'll do our best to help you guys out, try to police it a little bit more on Sundays, especially when you're in there and other
Just
activities.
One mass on Sunday?
One mass on Saturday afternoon, one mass on Sunday. Is the town going to guarantee that street will be plowed in the wintertime
I'll make sure of it.
for
I'll
Saturday
make sure of
evening
it.
mass?
I will make sure of it. And we will mow the grass.
Yeah.
Very good. So you don't need to worry about it. I'll make sure it's plowed,
Thank you.
taken care of. Doesn't take me 5 seconds to go in there and plow that. So, anyway. All righty. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next victim, Happy.
Oh, that's not a good start.
Great discussion.
Hi there. I am here on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Chamber of Commerce. And we are So I think I mentioned this last time. After our first food truck festival, I didn't already, sorry. We did a survey of our members and our local people, and asked them if they wanted us to do more food truck festivals. And we got 63 responses, which we were very happy about. And the last question was, do you want more food truck festivals? And we had 2 no responses out of 63 responses. Our board members went to every business and resident as requested and gave them information about hopefully the food truck festival that we would like to do. We had 1 business that was not for it, and the rest was positive, or we didn't hear back. If they weren't there, we left it and we asked them to email us by today so that we would have that information. So we went through all of that, and so therefore I have been tasked to come and ask if we can do a food truck festival.
Okay, council.
I make a motion that we approve the food truck festival for September.
I'll second.
A motion is second on the floor to approve the food truck festival September 8th, starting at what, 3 o'clock.
The event itself starts at 5. We would close one side of the street at 3 and the whole street at 4.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, just like last time. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yes.
No, I just scratched my head. I'm
No,
sorry.
I got a hand up in the back.
I'm curious on Congress Street, what side will you be setting up on?
We'll be closing down, Congress Street, and we will be setting the food truck sorry, my words are not coming. The food trucks on the side where Atasia is,
Okay.
so that we can, and make sure that we protect the gardens, because we definitely want to make sure of that, because they're beautiful there.
Yeah, I was wondering about that when I walked through this morning. Okay.
All right. Any other discussion from council?
There's a hand up.
Yeah.
I'm wondering who's gonna reimburse the businesses for the lost business? 3 to 6.
We're not going through this, Charlie. We're not doing this. It's obvious that everybody wants it. I've gotten calls from the state and everywhere else in the last month about the food trucks. They thought it was great. There's never been a reimbursement to businesses because we closed the street down. The council has, in the past, closed streets down for Apple Butter Festival, for other things going on. So it's up to this council to decide whether or not they want to close the street or leave the street open. So like I said, you can talk to the Chamber of Commerce about reimbursement of any business that you think you lost, but the council can't do anything about that. Oh, okay.
Mr. Mayor, initially, I was not for it. Because of my concern for the businesses. But I've talked to a lot of folks in town that were very positive about what was going on and the additional traffic that was downtown during that period. So today, after the motion goes through, I'm going to vote yes.
Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. You have it. So do you need me to sign this?
Yes, I gave you two copies so that we can have one and you can have one. Sorry. Okay, I'll talk to you about what the easiest way there. Because we wanted to protect.
My training
make sure that we're also planning on, oh yes, but we're also planning on moving.
All right. There
Thank
you
you
go.
very much.
And I'll sign this here and put it on
Thanks, Ruby. I appreciate that you went and did what we asked you to do for last meeting. It's done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you
Yep.
and the chamber appreciates you. Thank you
Not a
very
problem.
much.
All right, let's move this along. Let's see, communications from mayor, make a notation. Our next council meeting is the 22nd of August. We moved things around. So because of the July 4th, we kind of had to move things around. So we didn't want 2 meetings back to back. So we changed the schedule up. In September, we will be back to our regular schedule. All right. Okay, Morgan County Expo. I talked to a lot of people, said they thought it was a really good success this year. I don't know if anybody else got a chance to go down there. I didn't that weekend because it was too hot to be out there. I had to take care of business for myself. Back to school bash. They're going to have it on the 11th, which is Friday, from 5 to 7 at Warm Springs Intermediate School. So if you know anybody that the kids need supplies or anything, this is a great thing for parents to be able to, supplies. Like they got games and stuff and all sorts of stuff. So if you know anybody that needs that, please tell them. The 11th, 5 to 7, Warm Springs Middle or Intermediate. Bath Development.
Well, before we move to
Okay.
that, Scott, can I make one quick comment? I'd like to recognize Donna Coates, who's here today. Over the weekend, we had an incident on South Wilk Street later in the evening, and a young man had suffered a seizure. He fell down. He injured his head, bleeding from his head on South Wilkes. There was a lot of yelling and things going on. And Donna and her son, they were able to stabilize the situation until the ambulance got there. I mean, they were extraordinarily compassionate and caring. The young man was 14 and his brother might have been 16 or 17 at the time, and they were having difficulty getting in touch with people. But I just thought that, and again, when you hear that from inside, because we had heard it from inside our home, and you have no idea what's going on when you're hearing that yelling and screaming. And by the time we had gotten down to the street, Donna and her son everything was well in hand, but it was a scary situation. So thank you for that, Donna.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out.
Yes, absolutely. This is what Little Town America's all about. Helping our neighbors and helping people that are in trouble and need help.
Absolutely.
Being a volunteer for 30-some years, that's what the town's all about. So,
Well done.
thank you. Okay, let's move on to Bath Development. There's nobody here this evening, so their next meeting is the 16th at 4:30 at the courthouse. Okay, Parks and Recs, our representative isn't here, and 16th Planning Commission. I'm sorry. Let's go to Planning Commission now.
All right, hey, we had our monthly meeting last week. We worked with the Waterworks Committee and most of all the members. Appreciate Rebecca and Tom both being there. We had a great discussion focused on the comprehensive plan, what was in the 2017 plan, where we're at with that, and then moving forward and trying to make sure that our planning process with the town fulfills its requirements. So again, thought it was a great discussion. And we had our working group yesterday, and next month, one note of a change, Sharon, we'll be meeting on the 21st, and we'll be working with the HLC.
Okay. Good deal. Any questions for Larry? All right.
We have some really high goals that the planning commission has brought forth, and we really look forward to making this work.
Good deal. Good deal. That's what that's about. All right, let's move on down to Rails and Trails.
I think generally we meet on the 4th Wednesday, so that would put the meeting on the 24th. If there is one, right now we're in almost silent zone waiting for the solicitation as well. We do expect to see sometime in August, but the bid opening will be December 12th if they meet their target. That's the only day in December where they open bids for projects, so that would be interesting. If that's the case, we wouldn't likely see an award until within the first 40 days, so if the budget goes. So that, for streetscape, basically, I'm gonna, we're gonna meet on the 17th at 4 o'clock. We've got status. I spent a couple hours out with Thrasher yesterday before the storm rolled through, heated home. He's agreed that even though we lost the lights in phase 5 for construction, we'll build a set of plans to install the lights at some later date. And we've adjusted the design so we can find where we're supposed to install the lights. We find the thing that was not done on person. We have no idea what the lights were going to do, so we know where the contract is.
Wow.
We're not going to do it that way, so I'm comforted with that. You also note the second round today, we did get an award of the State Park project. It's $78,000 project. Contractor seems to be from Pennsylvania. Then, basically, next step is there will be a pre-construction conference. That's when the town gets its say on what are they gonna do around Apple Butter Festival, what do they do each weekend when they're not working to not make the park unusable by people. This is a bit different. We always say in the streetscape that access to stores must always be open. Not sure how that works in the park, but that's what the pre-construction conference will do. And I've already sent a note out to District 5 to John Burns as to when we're gonna hold a meeting. And here are the concerns.
Superintendent Forney has to understand how important that time is for us.
Yeah, we talked to them about it when they made the field, so they're aware of our concerns and we'll certainly make sure they're aware of them.
Do you have a projected timeline for this, for that construction phase in the park?
I think mostly about when will it start.
Yeah.
When will it finish? Has to do with what, and I don't see it yet, what they put as the end date of the contract.
Okay.
Under the contract to be finished by a certain date. And they do mean that date. It has happened if they don't.
Are they doing the walls all the way up to the country and
Doing the walls within the park. Yeah. It's within the
so maybe all the way up?
But yeah, but it's not necessarily everywhere on the wall. So there's a lot of
They're not quite as bad.
different kind of work. They've got the semi dredge to run to get what's built up over there, and then build copper dams in the areas where they're working. And hopefully we're gonna be careful about it. But this is, and it is a different crew that will be doing that than we'll be doing the sidewalks.
Yeah.
And then there's a new bridge is to be built. And it's gonna be prefab, brought in there and landed on new foundations. That'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
The other two bridges are gonna be gone. They have to be got out of there. We're gonna go up to the lay down area, people are in the park for their stuff. Usually people ask for something out at the depot, it may not be a good idea based on, so there's some thinking to go on within the town itself. And feeding that into the pre-construction conference is the key, because DOH is going to be running the contract. They're the ones hosting the meeting, they're the ones talking to the contractor. We got all off to the side, yell what they're gonna do. Right, and that's
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Thank you, Pete. All right, thanks. All right, let's move to train depot.
Hey, if you all know, Sharon did send out a copy of the check that we got, $150 as a donation to the depot. I sent a letter of appreciation for that. And it just shows me, and I think other people, that there are people in the area who are very interested in the project and want to be involved. We're talking finance about furthering the abilities for donations through PayPal or QR code and other methods. And I hope that my colleagues who are more versed in this kind of thing can help us get that set up so that people can readily give. Speaking of donations and like this, I will be putting in with council, although it is a town property and a town function and everything, I will put in a facilities request for the depot for parking under Apple Butter, taking all the projects in the area in mind, but I think we can handle that. And I've always arranged that, and then we, bring home money to keep the depot for a while longer.
We may be under construction.
I know, and so that'll all be taken into consideration with that. We do the best we can with it. I think that that's all that we have. We are waiting for the last check from the DOH. I'm $9,000 in reimbursement. And so we're waiting on that and working on the details that they need to collect that check. But otherwise, it's looking good. We have a couple of events in the works, one being Veterans Day. I spoke about the last meeting. I'm working on something for October the 21st, perhaps. I'm working on a bluegrass band to some type of benefit for them. So we're working. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Landmarks Commission, and unfortunately, I have to announce that our president of the Landmark Commission has resigned from the Landmarks Commission effective August 4th, 2023. So we are down one person on the Landmarks Commission. So anyway, if anybody knows anybody that would be willing, they're gonna probably have to figure out who they're gonna name as the president once we get the position filled or get somebody in there to be
We
on there.
have on our committees list is that Skinner is on the committees list. She did volunteer to work with them, so we do have that.
Right. So we'll see maybe when she's here, hopefully next meeting, we'll find out if she wants to slide over in that position or if there's somebody else that wants to go on that commission. Like I said, pretty good loss. I kind of took it pretty hard because John's been doing very good. I've been very impressed with what the Landmarks Commission had been doing. So he'll be sadly missed. Okay, clerk and recorder's report, Madam Clerk.
I have just a simple request. It's a budget revision, but the budget revision is just to move from one account number to another. I had the wrong account number on the last one we did. So I'd ask that you would approve the budget revision, and I need a yes or no on the resolution. Please.
Make a motion that we pass resolution 2023-08-01, referring to this provision.
All second.
Motion second on the floor for resolution 2023-0801, budget revision. I will, any discussion? Is there any discussion from council members? Okay. I will ask each individual council member yes or no. Myself, yes. Susan?
Yes.
Elizabeth? She's not here. Mary?
Yes.
Rebecca?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Tom Hall?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Done.
That's all I needed.
All right, anything else, Madam Clerk?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I did
Madam
want to,
Recorder?
well, I just want to let you know that I did write a letter thanking the Boy Scouts who came from Annandale, Virginia, and that has gone out.
Thank you.
I thought that was just the neatest thing for them to go through from another county. So
Okay.
as far as recorder stuff, with that.
Good deal. Finances?
All right, we have bills here. The town of Bath bills, I make a motion that we approve the town of Bath bills in the amount of $20,602.86.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to pay the town of Bath bills in the amount of $20,602.86. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Berkeley Springs Waterworks bills, I make a motion that we approve the bills in the amount of $16,811.49.
Okay, a motion and a second on the floor to pay the Berkeley Springs Waterworks bills in the amount of $16,811.49. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
The cemetery bills, I make a motion that we approve the bills in the amount of $4,030.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to pay the cemetery bills in the amount of $30 and even. Any discussion?
Do you know exactly what that $4,030 was for?
Yes.
It's no.
Strictly mowing.
No, you should have a sheet in your,
Yeah.
package there.
We're in the bill, so that whatever, there was $340.
Keep turning, Greg. And again.
That was for
There you
the
Right
mausoleum
here.
work that's been done.
Right.
And we had
Mausoleum.
3,600 for mowing and a porta potty.
Okay. Question answered?
Yes.
Good deal. All right, I will call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Make a motion that we pay the streetscape bill in the amount of $1,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to pay the streetscapes bills in the amount of $1,000 even. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries. All right. Moving along, tree board. Elizabeth, you got anything?
I've got-
Oh, okay.
I'd just like to do a call out to Tree Works. We had a tree come down on the corner of Williams and South Laurel that took out, or didn't take out the power lines, but was hanging over the lady's house. Tree Works came out and fixed the tree, took it all down, took all the debris away. Our tree board went out there and investigated the tree and deemed it to come down, and it was all done in a timely manner after the storm, so just a good thank you for that.
The tree board is finalizing the report for the 2023 Demonstration City grant. And they have tallied $17,000. In
15,000, I added something twice.
$15,000 in kind match.
Yes.
That's excellent.
That was $8,000 worth of volunteer time.
Well, that goes back to what I've been saying about the town. Our volunteers, we didn't have our volunteers working in this community for all these, situations. We, the town, and our guys that work for the public works and everywhere else could not do what's being done. So we really appreciate everybody that volunteers.
Next meeting is the 16th at 14.
May I note that, may I make a, may I say something?
Yeah,
The money that we spent this year was to have a comprehensive, or a tree survey done. And based on the research that was done by Bartlett Engineering, they created a comprehensive plan. This is a copy of it. It's as things stood in town, street trees, and the 3 cemeteries as of a month ago. And they printed it and gave it to us. Tom, Rebecca, Lance Spade, and I attended a training to learn how to record all changes onto a computer program, so that 3 years from now, many of the goals may be the same, but the information about hazardous trees, diseased trees will have changed. So through this program, we have a video rather than a static document. And if anybody would like to borrow this, Sharon, I don't believe you have a copy in the office yet, do you?
No.
I'll give this to you, and if anyone wants to borrow it, it's very interesting information. And I don't know if you saw in the paper, they valued our trees at something like almost $3 million. The value of the
Wow.
trees, just in terms of, now it's not just lumber, but that's a large part of it. This is not carbon uptake, this is not stormwater management, just straight dollars. The trees in town are worth almost $3 million.
wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for getting that finished, and Tree Board did a great job. Like I said again, Mike, Tree Work, and then people out there did a great job getting up there, getting that tree down. So we really appreciate their quick responses, what our town clerk said. So, okay, we're gonna move on to grant.
Thanks, Scott. We have not had a meeting since our last town council meeting. Our next one is on August 14th. And I have started preliminary conversations around unmet needs in the grant area. We know about all the ones. Peter provides those wonderful summaries, and we have so many people working hard on the grants that we have. One of the things I talked to Peter about was the status of our bridges in town, near the park and over on Independence Street and Mercer Street that were recently assessed. Sharon shared with us the engineer's report. They're not in great shape structurally and require some attention. So no details other than identifying needs, as I say, that we might want to be putting our efforts into securing funding for. And I also want to just give a special shout out to my neighbor, Marge Bowers, because she has donated these beautiful, they're like what y'all are sitting on here, except they're longer actually, that are perfect for the train depot. They're solid wood and heavy as a rock. And she has 6 of them. And they would probably look lovely if someone repainted them or sanded them, or both of those things. But she's got them and she wants to donate them to the train depot, along with a set of antique trains that run like along the ceiling on a track. And they're very special too. She showed me pictures. So I will make sure that that donation finds its way to whoever would be receiving it, and before she puts her house for sale. That's sort of timely. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mary. All right, public safety. Our next meeting is gonna be on the 9th, which is next
tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. I keep forgetting we switched that around, so anyway, we're gonna be having a meeting tomorrow at 4. We kind of changed it around. We didn't want to have it during the time right before council, because our chief and myself and the committee talked. We feel we need a little bit longer to discuss some situations that need to be remedied or whatever needs to be done. We need a longer period of time than that half hour, 45 minutes to try to discuss. So tomorrow at 4, we will be meeting here. So, all right, cemetery, Beth isn't here. Do you have anything on the cemetery? Okay. Public Works.
Sorry.
She was in Never Never Land.
Cemetery. Actually, at the cemetery, he was out at Bridgeport talking to the engineer that we have under contract with the streetscape, and he is putting together a plan of action for the mausoleum. So that'll be coming through, and they'll be looking for a contractor to be in. Public Works, we talked about some of the equipment repairs that have been done on the garbage trucks, and one still needing to be done, regular repairs. Skid loader needs a repair. And we are in the process of selling 2 old trucks that are no longer in use at the auction south of the camp. Our main focus of business was what to do with our bricks at the depot. And we figured out that we have about 8 pallets of red brick that came from Washington Street. The strips that went down through there, and then there's apparently another 2 pallets out at the cemetery. So we decided that we would try to sell those. We don't really need them for any other use that we can think of. And if we do in the future, brick, we'll just end up having to buy it anyway. These have been out on the street for a long time. We're going to have to re-pallet them though, because the pallets that are there are in bad shape. So we'll look for donations of pallets. And once we get those moved out of the area, we'll pull about 1%. The other yellow brick, we're going to try and keep on site. It's going to take up a good bit of space, which will impinge on some of the parking. But we'll do it after that. We need to move them up out of the eastern side.
Anything else? Good. Thank you.
That's enough.
Yeah, that's enough to digest for one evening, right? All right, let's go on to ordinance.
Ordinance, I'm actually trying to get our meeting for next week scheduled to the 15th at 4 PM if that's possible, because looking at the schedule, we have 3 or 4 meetings at that exact time here at the, as well as one at the courthouse, which is the BDA meeting. After talking with Mayor Murphy, he kind of gave me the luxury to head down to Shepherdstown. But for learning opportunity with my counterpart, Andy Beal, who's in charge of ordinance and zoning for Shepherdstown. So I have a meeting with Andy. I also have a meeting to walk around with the mayor scheduled in Shepherdstown, and a meeting with their HLC leadership committee, just to look at their best practices, because some things differ than what we do here, particularly in terminology where I find they use the words avoid, recommend, and whenever possible, which means you're not locked into anything. So learning best practices without having to reinvent the wheel can make what we're trying to do here a little more palatable for everybody, and avoid some tension, some problems we have with the HLC.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. Okay, Waterworks.
I am sorry to say that our meeting was not held. I prefer that we have the council there in force, all 3 of us, but Rebecca could not be there. And then at the last moment, that morning, I got a call from Harper's Ferry that said, we desperately need you. We are so blessed to have a water system that is not tied into surface water at this time. The primary source for water for Harper's Ferry is a small creek, and the small creek is drying up. I mean, literally drying up. And so they're trying to keep that going and tap the Potomac River eventually. That's the next scenario. But at this moment, there are a number of items that we will be discussing at the next meeting, and it is scheduled for 8/14 at 4:30 p.m. Again, the general public is invited to come if you want to come and listen to what's going on, and it will be interesting to see working with Ron and Rick with regards to the water system and the needs. Just lots of good stuff going on. So with that being said, next week, the 14th at 4:30 p.m. here. May I say something else?
Yeah.
I get claustrophobic every time I go in that room. Not only is it dark, but it's hot. It's hot. And I don't know about you folks in here, but I'm very uncomfortable in here right now. It is just almost too much for me to be sitting in here because it is so hot. Is there something that we as the council can do to rectify this situation? Can we add a larger air
We
conditioner?
can put some mini splits in.
Put
Yeah.
something in here so
Yeah,
that we can be comfortable?
We could put a mini split here and a mini split there and put it on one unit outside. I suggested that a couple of years ago, but we just didn't have the money. If that's something the council wants to look at, we can get some prices together and see what we can do. When we moved down here, like I said, we got this old air conditioner and that other one, you gotta step up on back on the chair to get onto it because it doesn't have a remote to it. So, I mean.
Well, I would make a motion that the council look at upgrading our air conditioning system in the very, very near future.
Is that a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and second on the floor to upgrade the air conditioning and hopefully the chamber rooms in here. Any discussion?
We have a ballpark of what something would cost.
I thought the motion was to research the
Research it,
options
yeah.
rather than to make it what
Research
we're
it,
doing.
Right, for sure.
yeah.
Look into it.
Right.
Look
Yeah.
into,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is something that, let's get
Let
the
me,
expert to tell
let
us
me get
what
a
it's gonna
price
cost.
and we'll see what we can do it for. Of course, the town gets free labor, so.
Is that legal?
Yep, all right, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we will do some research and see what we can do. All right, come to this point in the meeting, is there anything else that the council would like to bring up, any member of council? If not, I would open up the floor, if anybody wants to speak about, anything that they need to talk about.
I had just one item I wanted to share with my fellow town council members and those who are present here. On September 9th, the Morgan County Homeless Coalition is hosting a grand opening for their new facility next to 7-Eleven, next to the Refuge Church. They are going to have a walk from the senior center up 522, ending at the new homeless shelter site. And in a very recent development, as a member of that organization through the winter months, there were a series of conversations, and the Morgan County Homeless Coalition will be formally merging with the Martinsburg Union Rescue Mission. And practically what that means is here in town, the facility that they have just completed will be women and children only. And that is because in many cases it's important, well, you need to separate the sexes. And if there is a domestic violence situation or other complicating factors, it's even more important that they're separated. But beyond that, the Martinsburg Union Rescue Mission has 100 beds over in Martinsburg and also ready access to public transportation and job opportunities for folks who are in that position. So it was decided just in terms of resource allocation as a unified organization now, that that's how they will do it for women and children here and then in Martinsburg. And from 10 to 12 after the morning walk, there will be a pig roast. And shout out to Dexter's Laboratory who donated all the sides to go with that. And just a celebration of all the sweat equity and dedicated volunteers who brought this to pass to serve a need that is largely invisible if you're not looking, but it is very much real in our community. And that organization has really done a lot of great work to help those in need. So I would encourage my fellow town council members to consider joining us that morning, and anyone else who would care. Thank you.
All right, anybody out there? Pat?
Who is responsible for the condition of the sidewalks in town, specifically on South Washington Street between Bath and Mercer?
Bath and Mercer. It's in
Right
front of the
in front of
church.
church.
Right in front of
Yeah,
church
we-
office.
Yeah, joining property owners are responsible.
What about the fact that the damage was done by trees that were planted by the town?
Still would be the responsibility of the people that it's in front of.
Okay.
That's what we have on our ordinance, and I have to stay with that ordinance. I cannot deviate, because if I do something for you guys, then the next person says, we got an uprooted, sidewalk because of a tree that's been here 25 years or 10 years or 5 years, then we're gonna be replacing everybody's sidewalk.
I just wanted to have something official from the town, because if we take it to our pastoral council, if someone says, well, no, it's the town, and I can actually say no, the town council says,
Yeah, we can get you that ordinance that addresses that situation. So hopefully sometime along the line, I don't know where we're at with the streetscapes, but I know we had talked about some of that down along there, but we're probably another out a little bit more before we even get to it.
Yeah, they were just cut down, and then we have new plantings.
Yeah, on Washington Street.
Right. Yeah, the reason we bring it up with,
The other one.
no, for the new one. No,
Right.
the reason we bring it up now is with apple butter. We have things there, we watch people trip all day long.
Yes.
So we usually go in and spray paint it before apple butter. If we can grind down any of the hard lips, we try to make, take care of
Right,
what's in
absolutely.
front of the place. So just
Yeah.
wanted to see if there's any opportunity to get more.
Unfortunately,
Susan, could you send me a copy of that ordinance?
Somebody can, Sherry can.
Okay.
Yep.
She can, you
All right.
email address
Okay, anything else?
to him, yeah.
If nobody else has anything to say, I will take a common consent to adjourn.
You got it.
Roll that down.
I'll move.
I'm almost there.
It's a nice place to be. Are you outside in the?
You guys-
No, I actually heard him. I was concerned that maybe something
Just wanted to let you know, I don't have any money in the first initiative, so it might.
You know, I got a chance to look through that. It's great, right?
Yeah.
I was just surprised.
Nothing is cast in concrete here.
But just,
That
yeah.
there actually is a value.
Like-
I pull them like weeds because they're invasive.
So
and
I
everything
got
else.
so habit to just be.
Right.
That's okay.
There wasn't a
I
lot, so
certainly
the
see
good
it.
news is there wasn't many. But I just.
Last Friday, I sat down with the mayor of Shepherdstown.
I don't,
He just
I
got
don't recall.
I just scanned and I only saw one.
So does the recorder.
Some,
The council persons now make $10,000 a year. The recorder makes 12,500. And the mayor makes 20,000. When are we gonna start bumping?
Well, I will start charging you rent over there and, because that's the only way it's coming.
No, Sharon,
Yeah.
That's crazy. When they said that, I said,